Are you eating in a calorie deficit with the goal of weight loss or fat loss, but you find it really hard to hit your protein goal while also staying at or below your calorie deficit? Don't worry, you are not alone, and that's why I'm making this video today. In this video, I'm gonna quickly review why it's important to hit your protein goal, but why it's also important to stay in your calorie deficit if your goal is weight loss, fat loss, or body recomposition. And then I'm gonna give you my top 4 tips on how to choose the right foods to fuel your body each day, hit your daily protein goal, but also stay in your calorie deficit in order to see the best results. So we're gonna get right into it, but of course, if you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you get a notification when I release a new video, just like this one every single week. My name's Michelle Roots, kinesiologist, personal trainer, nutrition coach, and motivation specialist. I have over 17 years experience in the industry helping people increase lean muscle and decrease body fat to become the strongest, leanest, healthiest versions of themselves. And I created this channel because I want to help you as well. So before we get into my top 4 tips, I just want to quickly review why protein is so important if your goal is weight loss or fat loss. Getting enough protein each and every day is very important if you're eating in a calorie deficit to help preserve the muscle mass that you already have. When you're eating in a calorie deficit, your body can start breaking down muscle mass for energy. Protein also has a higher thermic effect of food, so meaning you will burn more calories digesting protein than any other macronutrient. Protein is also gonna help you feel full for longer, especially if you're eating in a calorie deficit. Keeping your protein intake up is gonna help you survive that calorie deficit while still feeling energized and full, which in turn will improve the quality of your workouts, how you feel each day, and reduce cravings. And then lastly, if your goal is fat loss or body recomposition, meaning your strength training looking to build some lean muscle as well as decrease body fat, eating enough protein is going to support muscle growth as well as muscle repair after your workouts. And that is when your muscles are growing, is when they were repairing after your workout. So making sure your body has enough protein to go through the processes to help support muscle growth is very important. So that's the main reason why you hear so many people say protein, protein, protein. Make sure you're getting your protein. Eat lots of protein. It's not necessarily to look like a bodybuilder. It's more so to support your body, especially when you're eating in a calorie deficit. The last thing you want to have happen is see the number go down on the scale from eating in a calorie deficit. But if you're not focusing on the macronutrients you're eating, your proteins, your carbs, and your fats, you don't want the body weight that you're losing to be coming from muscle mass. We want to make sure we're targeting our body fat, because if you lose muscle mass, that is going to naturally slow down your metabolism. So if you do lose weight, it's going to be much harder to maintain that weight loss. Now let's get into my top 4 tips on how to increase your protein while staying in a calorie deficit. Number 1, make sure you're equally dispersing your protein throughout the entire day. What do I mean by that? Basically, let's say you've calculated your protein goal every single day. If you don't know how to calculate your protein goal, I've got a video for it already. I've actually got quite a few videos. I'll link those in the description below if you want to know how much protein you should be eating based on your specific goal. Let's say you've calculated your calorie deficit to be 1,500 calories per day. And you've also calculated your protein goal to be 120 grams of protein a day. Now here's where you're going to make it individual to you. Again, there is no perfect meal plan, no perfect diet that is gonna work for everybody. You decide how many times a day it works best for you to eat. If you decide, you know what, based on my work schedule, my kids, my everything, I think eating 4 times a day is best for me. So if that's what you decide and that's what you can stick to consistently for a very long time, you are gonna aim for 30 grams of protein 4 times a day. That's gonna get you to 120 grams of protein a day. If you decide you would rather eat 3 meals a day, then you would go 120 grams of protein divided by 3, which is 40. So you're gonna try and hit 40 grams of protein 3 times a day. If you're someone who likes to eat 5 times a day, maybe 3 meals and 2 snacks, you can also split it up as 3 meals that are gonna hit 30 grams of protein and 2 snacks looking at about 15 grams of protein. Now, when you break it down like that, it's almost a little bit easier to now sit and design your meals. Another thing I recommend people do is plan your meals in advance. So if you're laying on the couch on a Sunday night, kind of start typing in what you're gonna eat on Monday. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but maybe start logging and see, okay, this is what I'm gonna have for breakfast, this is what I'm gonna have for lunch, this is what I'm gonna have for dinner, and see how much protein that's gonna get you. And really what that prevents is you each day getting to dinner time and being like, oh no, I still have 60 grams of protein to eat, and playing what I like to call macro roulette. And what this is also gonna help you do is plan out your day so that not only are you hitting your protein goal, you're also staying in your calorie deficit. And say once you plug in your 120 grams of protein and the rest of the foods that you're gonna eat with your meals, and maybe you're at 16 or 1700 calories, that's gonna help you play around with your portion sizes now. Well, maybe I need to increase my portion size of protein in this meal and drop how much rice I'm having. It helps you kind of plan ahead and make sure that you're hitting those numbers. This is where you really use it as an educational tool versus a diet. And then one last tip for number one, as we're on this topic, is make sure you're starting your day with a high protein breakfast. I'm talking at least 25 to 30 grams of protein. And this helps you get a jump start on that protein goal. So again, if you're only eating 10 grams of protein at breakfast, not only are you gonna be hungry again in an hour, which means you're probably gonna consume more food, which makes it harder for you to stay in your calorie deficit. It's also gonna be that you have to get a lot of protein at your lunch and at your dinner. And if you're looking for high protein breakfast ideas, of course, I have a video for that already on my channel showing you all of my go-to high protein breakfasts. I'll link that in the description below as well. Just wanna take a minute to thank today's video sponsor, Element, one of my go-tos for replenishing my electrolytes after sweaty workouts. Electrolytes are so important for so many functions in the body, including hormonal regulation, nutrient absorption, and fluid balance. Sometimes water just isn't enough, and Element has the perfect balance of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. And better yet, zero sugar or artificial sweeteners, so no junk. Element can help prevent and eliminate headaches, muscle cramps, fatigue, sleeplessness, and other common symptoms of electrolyte deficiency. Right now, Element is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any purchase. That's 8 single serving packets free with any Element order. Get yours at drinkelement.com/Michelle. This deal is only available through my link. You must go to drinklmnt.com/Michelle. Number two, try your best to choose low calorie, high protein foods. This is when choosing whole, unprocessed foods is going to be much better for you than grab and go packaged foods. If we only have a certain amount of calories every single day, we don't want to be blowing 350 calories on a little protein bar that's loaded with chemicals and only going to give us about 10 or 15 grams of protein towards our 120 gram protein goal. Choosing whole, unprocessed, lower calorie, but high protein sources, you'll get more protein for less calories, meaning it's easier to stay in that 1,500 calorie range. For example, things like Greek yogurt, you might want to choose a low fat or no fat option versus the higher fat options. Again, less calories for the same or more protein. If you're someone who likes to eat eggs, instead of having 3 whole eggs, you could have 2 or 1 whole egg and fill the rest in with liquid egg whites. Again, lots of volume, lower calorie, but still hitting at or more protein. If you want some ideas on my favorite low calorie, high protein snack, got a video for that too. I'll link that in the description below as well if you want to go check that one out next. Tip number 3 is combining a few high protein foods into one meal in order to increase the overall protein content of that meal. For example, one of my go-to high protein breakfasts is my favorite Flourish protein pancakes because they're so easy to make, super low in calories, high in protein. I'll put a link in the description below if you're looking for a really tasty protein pancake mix. But when I make the protein pancakes, I also add Greek yogurt on the top with some fruit. So that's gonna add more protein to the overall meal. And then another thing to look at is, say you're on point and you're tracking your food for tomorrow, the day before, and you're putting everything in, you're like, why are my carbs so high? Why am I over on my calories? One thing I often see people do is they make these healthy meals. They're like, okay, I have my chicken breast, I have some brown rice, and I have some broccoli. The portion size they're having of their protein, so the chicken, is still very small. What I often tell people is, once you look at your meals, maybe if I increase the portion size of my chicken in that dinner, decrease the portion size of rice, I'm gonna get more protein for minimal calories. I'm dropping some calories again because I'm reducing the amount of rice I'm having. And do that for your meal. Say, where's the protein? If you're having a Greek yogurt parfait in the morning, say overnight oat, can I increase to 1.5 scoops of protein powder in my overnight oats or more Greek yogurt in my overnight oats, and then decrease the portion size of the oats that I'm having? A lot of people see the portion size on the container of the Greek yogurt. Maybe it says 3/4 of a cup is this many calories, this much protein, yada, yada, yada. So in their mind, they think they can only have 3/4 of a cup. That's not the rule. You can eat as much as you want. So if you find I'm gonna have a cup instead of 3/4 of a cup, it's only gonna give you a few extra calories, but it's gonna give you more protein for that overall meal. And then one other tip I like to give people when they're choosing packaged high protein labeled foods, again, not the end of the world. We don't like to rely on these foods, but if you're on the go, having a protein bar is not the end of the world. I definitely eat protein bars. But here's a little trick I like to give people to know if you're getting enough protein for how many calories it is. It's called the 10-to-1 ratio, meaning if you're gonna choose this food to eat, you don't wanna have more than 10 calories per gram of protein. So how do we do this rule? This is where you wanna be aware of nutrition labels. A lot of things in the grocery store on boxes are labeled high protein. And you see that, you're like, perfect, Michelle said I need protein, so I'm gonna buy this. But this is where we have to flip the box around and look at the nutrition label. Let's use example of Vector cereal. This one is one that drives me crazy because it says right on the box, high protein. Let's take a look at the label. This is where we do a little calculation to find out if it's actually a high protein food. You're gonna first look up the amount of calories per serving. It says 155-gram serving is 217 calories. From there, you're gonna scroll down where it says the protein. So it says in each 55-gram serving, there's 5.7 grams of protein. Let's just round it down to 5 for simple math reasons. So what you're gonna do is take the protein and add a 0 to the end of that number. That gives us a 50. If after adding the 0 to the protein number, it is either at or below the amount of calories, that means there's way too many calories in that food versus how much protein is in that food, meaning it's not a high protein or good option, meaning you're gonna have to eat a lot of calories in order to hit, if we're trying to hit 25 or 30 grams of protein per meal, you're gonna have to eat a lot of that to hit your protein goal. Now, of course, you can add Fairlife milk to it, you can mix protein powder into it, you can do all the things, but again, this is just an example to show you how to read these nutrition labels. Now I'm gonna show you another example of a high protein food that's actually legit high protein. Let's look at the can of flaked white tuna in water. Let's look at the label here. So as you can see, it has 50 calories per serving and then 11 grams of protein per serving. So what do? We add a 0 to that 11 grams. So now we have 110. So now that 110 number is double the amount of calories, meaning this is a high protein, low calorie food. So really, if you have 2 servings, you're gonna get 22 grams of protein for only 100 calories, making this a great protein source. Take it as it is. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do when you're out. You can combine different foods, but again, just keep in mind, if you keep going over your calories, it could be because you're choosing foods that too many calories for the amount of protein that it's giving you. And then tip number 4 is use supplements as needed. Now, I am not someone who likes to say rely on supplements. You shouldn't be having 5 scoops of protein powder every single day to get you to your protein goal. But just remember that protein supplements, if you are using a good high quality protein, they're usually low in calories and an easy way to get an extra 20 to 30 grams of protein in your day and get you closer to your protein goal. I like to use the Natural Way Level 1 protein from First Form because it only has about 10 ingredients, no artificial sweeteners, and 130 calories per scoop, but it's giving me 24 grams of protein and only 4 grams of carbs, and it tastes amazing. So I can mix this with water. It's very thin and mixes well. Again, it's just a simple way. There is nothing against using protein powder. Post-workout, easy way to get some protein in your system. Use it just as it is, a supplement to an already high protein, healthy diet. If you want to go check out this First Form protein powder that I use, I'll put a link in the description below if you want to go check it out. So there you go, guys. Those are my top 4 tips on how to make sure you hit your protein goal, but also stay in your calorie deficit, as both are very, very important. And just remember, you don't have to be perfect every single day. Just try your best to be 80% perfect 80% of the time. You're tracking, you're planning ahead, you're learning from your mistakes. If you were over on your calories one day, you're looking back, why was I over on my calories? Or if you were under on your protein, what could I have added or taken away to make sure I hit my protein goal? Kind of based on these 4 tips I've given you. What matters most is you're being consistent over a very long period of time. So remember, if you don't hit your protein goal one day out of the week, you are not a failure. just keep on going. As always, leave any questions in the comments below. I'm always happy to help. If you need help with your nutrition or your workouts to reach your fat loss goals, you can learn more about my one-on-one fitness and nutrition coaching program, where you will work with me specifically one-on-one to get you to your goals. I'll put a link in the description if you want to learn more about working with me. And as always, have a great day, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.